Hey folks, welcome back. In this video, we will be talking about Python 3 JSON module. So JSON is nothing but JavaScript Object Notation. So it's a standard format commonly used for data transfer. So it's mostly used in web APIs and sometimes databases as well. So let's talk about the data type comparison between Python and JSON. So in the JSON equivalent of object in Python is dict. So object is compared against dict, and array compared to list, and string compared to string, and number compared to integer or float. So if the number has a decimal points, and then it will be converted to float or integer. So in JSON we have boolean, so that is true or false in lowercase, uh, false. So in Python we have a boolean, that is true comma false. So that is that, and null is compared against none in Python. So let's see the simple JSON example here. So here we can see that, so it's a simple JSON data. So here we have a name, key, and John Doe, age 25, city example, and student true. So it's a boolean. Grades again, array of integers, and address we have a object, JSON object. So this is the simple representation of a JSON data. So let's talk about the vocabulary. So serialization and deserialization. So converting Python data to JSON is called serialization, and converting JSON data back to Python is called deserialization. So that's the vocabulary of the JSON model. And let's talk about the Python JSON model. So it allows us to serialize and deserialize the data between JSON and Python. So it comes with these methods, json.dumps, that is used to convert the Python object to JSON, and json.dump. So it will write the Python data to a file after serializing it to JSON. And json.loads, that will load the string to Python, a JSON string to Python, and json.load. So that loads the file to Python data. So let's start with the json.dumps. So let's go to playground and open terminal, import JSON. So now we imported the JSON. So now we need to have a simple data. Data equals to um, student John uh, class 12 and address line 1 Golden Valley. So oops, let me close this. Okay, so now we have the Python data. So now we need to convert this Python data to JSON. So how do we do that? So let's use the method JSON string equals to JSON dot dumps of data, and print the JSON string. So let's run the playground. Oops. JSON module Python playground.py. So now we can see that it did print, but we don't know the actual type, whether that's a string or not. So in order to know, let's use the type built-in function to know the data type of the JSON string. So let me clear this out and run it. So here we can see that it's a class of string. So that means whatever the output that we get, that is a string. So we can use indent, the optional parameter indent. So let's see what happens when we use the indent. Indent equals to 4. Let's give 4 and then run the code again. So now we can see that we have got indentation of the JSON string. So that is, here we have a 4 spaces of indentation. So that's how we use the indent and JSON.dumps to convert the data from Python to JSON. So let's talk about um, converting JSON data back to Python. So let's go to README and copy the example here. So let's copy the example from README to playground and give as a JSON string equals to. So in Python, we need to use triple single quote or triple double quote to represent the multi-line string. So let's convert this JSON string to Python. JSON dot data equals to JSON dot loads JSON string. So now we have the data that is converted from string format to Python. So let's print data, and let's also print the type of the data to know whether that is a Python data type or not. Okay, so we have that. Now let's clear this out and run the file again. So now we can see that it's a type of dictionary. So we already know when we convert the JSON string to Python object, that then it will be converted to a dictionary. So this is how we use JSON.loads method to convert the string data, I mean the JSON string to Python dictionary. So that's how we use the JSON.loads and JSON.dumps. So this is we use JSON.loads and JSON.dumps to convert the data from string format to JSON, or sorry, a string format, string JSON to Python data, and Python data to string JSON. So let's say if you want to write that to a file or load from the file, then we should use JSON.dump and JSON.loads. So let's remove all this code, and now we will be using this method, that is JSON.dump. So let's go here and let's define the data. Data equals to name, ng, and okay, let's clear this out. Name, ng, and address, line 1, Golden Valley. Okay, and number 1 2 3 4. Is vegetarian. Oops. No. So now we have the Python data, and we just need to convert this to a JSON and store it in a file. So let's do that. In order to do that, we need to have a file. So with open data.json and open it in a write mode as a file, and then now we need to dump this json.dump the object, and oops, that's data here, and the object file okay, that's it. This should work. So let's try this and see what happens. Python playground.py. So it did run perfectly. Looks like we didn't have any errors. Let's go to files and check whether it did create a JSON.data or not. So here we can see that we have the JSON data.json, the file, and we can see the actual the keys and values of a JSON. So here we can see that we have all the JSON data. So let's say we want to convert this data back to Python object. So how do we do that? So let's go to playground and modify the code a bit. So update the file mode to read, and we need to update this method to load, not loads, and just pass the file, and add the returned data to data, that is JSON. So when we do JSON.load of a file, so it will convert the JSON data back to Python, and here we are printing it. Print data and print type of data. So we know that type is a built-in method which returns the data type. So let's run the Python playground.py. So here we can see that we got the data, and that is in Python. That's a Python object, and we can see that it's a class dict. So we successfully converted the data from file to Python data. So this is how we use the uh, JSON.loads, sorry, JSON.load to convert the data from file, that is JSON data, back to Python. So let's talk about custom encoder. So before talking about the custom encoder, let's go here and remove all this code and go to readme and copy this JSON and come here, and data equals to, let's paste that and update this to, actually it's a Python data. So instead of list here, we are using the grades as a set. So this is the set data type, 85, 90, and 88. So here we can clearly see that it's a Python dictionary, and we are using true, that is Python data, and the sets, it's a Python data. So now we want to convert this data to JSON string. So let's try that. JSON str equals to JSON dot loads data, and print JSON.str. So let's clear this out and run the code. So let's see what happens. So here we can clearly see that we got a type error, that is the JSON object must be string, bytes, or byte array, not dict. Oh, okay. Looks like we need to dump this JSON.dumps. Oh, my bad. We just need to convert this Python data to JSON. So for that we need to use JSON.dumps, not JSON.loads. Okay, let's see what happens. So now here we can see that we got a type error, that is object of type set is not JSON serializable. So that means the Python data that can be converted only for this Python data type, that is dict, list, string, integer or float, or boolean value, that is true or false. So we got error, that's because here we are using the set data type, not a list. So that's why we got the error. So how do we convert this to a JSON? So in such cases, like let's say we are using custom classes, and then we can write a custom encoder to convert that our custom data type, like sets or any other. Then we can use we can override the default method from encoder, and we can use the dumps. So for dumps provides one more argument, that is encoder, and we can use that to overcome this problem. So let's go to readme, and let's look at the custom encoder problem. So let me copy this code and go to playground and just replace it and remove all this stuff. Just use this class encoder. So now here we have a custom encoder class that is inheriting the JSON.encoder. So it is inheriting that class, and the JSON encoder has a default method. So the responsibility of default method is to return the JSON supportable data type. So here what we are doing, here we are checking whether the object is of type set. If it is a set object, and then we are converting the object to a list data type, and then we are returning it. So that's it. So now what we need to do, we need to pass one more parameter, that is CLS, and then give custom encoder class. So now we are using the, by default JSON uses JSON encoder class, but now we are using our custom encoder. So this will convert this set data type to a list, and it will again after that it will process as before. So let's go to terminal and clear this out and run Python playground.py. So now we can see that the grades are converted to array format, that is list, and it did work properly. So that's how we use a custom encoder whenever it is needed, like sets, or the data is in form of sets or any other object, and then we can write our own custom encoder like this, and then we can use that encoder to um, convert the data between Python to a JSON. So that's about custom encoder, and let's look at the problem. So convert JSON data to Python data type. So let me copy this and go to playground and remove all this and import JSON module, and then um, JSON str equals to paste that. So this is a JSON str. Now we need to convert this to Python data. So data equals to JSON dot loads JSON string, and then print data, and then print type of data. Okay, so now we have this. Let's clear this out. Let's run the Python file, Python playground.py. So now here we can see that we converted the JSON string to Python, and then we check the type of it. So it's a dictionary, so it's a Python. So the first problem is done, and then let's talk about the second problem. So convert the Python data back to JSON. So let's copy this and go here, remove all this stuff, and then data equals to paste it. So this is the data. um, okay, so now we have the data. We need to convert this to a JSON string. JSON str equals to JSON dot dumps of data, and then print JSON str, and then let's also check the type. So the type should be a string. Okay, so now we have the code ready. Let's go here, clear this out, and run Python playground.py. Oops, routes is not defined. Looks like we did miss the codes around it. Okay, let's clear this out and run it again. So now here we can see that we converted the data back to string. So in JSON model, we mostly use only these two methods. That is, where is it? Yeah, that is JSON dot dumps and JSON dot loads. So we use it most frequently. Yeah, so that's all about JSON model. If you find this video is useful to you, and then like the video and share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.